This is exactly where most digital retail platforms break, is a handoff.
Over 90% of the journey has already happened online.
The ROI shows up in predictability, not just growth. So Mercedes, our first customer, is now our largest customer. We're servicing them in 12 countries around the world.
The technology is only as good as the people and the process that we put behind it.
Dealers are not losing sleep because of their software. They're losing sleep because margins are under pressure.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? Hey, welcome back to another episode of Strategy with Jason, where I get to talk to anybody and everybody I want to talk to who are actually moving the needle and making a difference in your dealership's operations. Now, you guys might guess who I have with me today. The logo is sitting right behind me. So you may already have guessed who I got on the show today. But I am super excited to get in today's podcast. We have some great topics, guys. We're going to talk about digital retail. We're going to talk about the customer experience. And we're going to talk about what you need to do, all right, to make better experience and increase profitability in your store. Today, I have the one, the only, the oh so famous Faraaz with NETSOL. He paid me to say that, by the way. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. Hey, Faraaz, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Jason. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I'm so glad that you were able to take the time to come jam with me. Today's going to be a fun conversation, man. We are going to get into the thick of it.
I love it. I love the model cars on your shelf. I hope there's a McLaren in the garage.
Oh, man, I haven't done that many podcasts. I have done a lot, but not enough to cover a McLaren yet. But I do have an orange car. I do. I have that guy right there, the orange Mustang.
Okay, yes. So that's the first step. 2026, man, we're getting you a McLaren, okay?
Hey, you guys heard it. And you know what, Faraaz, if I'm going to take a drive with you on that. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I have another podcast series where I call it. Oh, dude, it is so much fun. We got to do it sometime. We'll do it sometime. See, look, guys, this is what happens when you jump on a podcast and a couple of people are just, know each other and want to catch up. But for us, we'll get into it. Man, I want to start off today's podcast with a little origin story, right? Because I'm kind of fascinated how companies kind of get into the automotive industry. What was kind of the initial start with it? And NETSOL, you guys kind of got an interesting start into the business. So if you don't mind, I want to kick off today's podcast with just a little origin story. First for everybody out there watching and listening, a little information just about you, what you do with NETSOL, but then let's get into how NETSOL ultimately decided to get into this crazy little world we call the automotive industry.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. People buy from people. Relationships in our business and pretty much any business is the key, I would say. So my name is Faraaz Ghauri. I'm vice president of our digital retail vertical at NETSOL, and I'll talk about how we got there. But to tell you a bit about NETSOL and where we came from, the company was founded by four brothers. My father was one of the founders, actually. Along with his three brothers in the mid-90s. And essentially, one of the brothers was involved in auto finance and was working projects for Mercedes-Benz Financial Services in a couple of Asian countries. One of the other brothers was opening up a development shop in Asia as well. And, my father was focused on U.S. and, driving business in the U.S. And one of the other brothers was a investor, essentially. So they all kind of came together when an opportunity presented itself. Kind of one thing led to another between the brother who was working for Mercedes-Benz and the brother who started the development shop. There was an opportunity, a meeting that was set with Mercedes-Benz Financial Services of Taiwan. They were looking for a system to manage credit applications and proposals. And through that relationship of the brother who was working in Mercedes-Benz, managed to connect the other brother, who had a development shop. They got a meeting in Thailand in the middle of the summer, a couple of German guys sitting by the pool And, my uncle, Salim is his name, shows up in a suit and tie,
oh man,
drenching in sweat, and presents his business case on, I've got developers, we can build this for you. And it essentially kind of one thing led to another. They wrote a plan literally on a napkin. And
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah, it's such a story, right? Almost doesn't.
Please tell me you guys still have the napkin.
I hope he does.
I hope he does too.
All the time. I'm sure. I would be surprised if he doesn't. I'll have to check with him. So they wrote it out. They built this small module to manage credit apps. Mercedes-Benz Financial, our first customer, and that's the beginning. People, relationships, right place, right time, and that expanded. So it went from a proposal management system to a full-blown, through the Mercedes partnership, over 5-10 years, building a full-blown end-to-end finance and leasing platform for finance companies to completely manage the life cycle of their lease and loans. And Mercedes, our first customer, is now our largest customer. We're servicing them in 12 countries around the world with an end-to-end system. And along the way, got a lot of interest from other auto finance companies. We've worked with almost every automotive brand you can think of in some region, primarily on the financial services side. So it evolved tremendously. Then we kind of expanded outside of automotive as well. We also support banks, equipment finance companies, but the major chunk of our business is automotive. And we also regionally evolved as well. So we made some strategic acquisitions in Europe and the US, companies that were building similar technology for financing, who had a pool of clients. So we acquired those businesses. And some of them, one of them in the US had been around since the 80s. So that kind of gave us deeper, longer
relationships into the space, man. That totally makes sense. I can't imagine what the holidays looks like for you. Like, I mean, I've worked for a couple of family businesses, some small, some very large as well. And it's like, from my experience, you can't turn it off. Like, is it true for you too? Like, is it just, are you guys on it all the time?
We're on it. I mean, we have this follow the sun approach. We're global. I haven't really taken holiday in the last week. I've been looking inward. Clients have been quiet. Dealers are selling. So,
yes, 100%.
So while our finance clients are quiet and chilling, the dealers are busy. So that's keeping me up at night. But I've taken the chance to look inward, to kind of strategize the next 6 months. We're a fiscal year, right? We're a public company. So our year end is June 30.
Hey, speaking of that real quick, I heard you guys rang the bell.
Yeah.
Recently. This is pretty cool. Like, I know not a lot of people get to do this. Tell me a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we've been on NASDAQ for 25 years. So the company went public in 1999 on NASDAQ during the dot-com boom. A bunch of IPOs were happening. So we've done, I think this was our 6th or 7th bell. Actually, my second one. My first one, it was before I joined the company. I was in high school. I was 17 years old, and that was quite an experience. But no, this time was very special. I mean, you're on Times Square, your face is on there, and such a moment. We had partners with us, some client partners. We had some, the leadership there, and it comes post a year or 2 years where we really gained a lot of traction in the U.S. market on digital retail. So yeah, a very special moment.
Well, congratulations, man. That is an epic experience and perfect segue into digital retail, because that's really what we want to talk about. And look, I can see it. I love the fact it's family. It started on a napkin. I mean, this just feels so dealer-esque, you know what I mean? It's like most dealerships out there, not all, but it's something, they're big family businesses. A lot of things end up happening and ideas happen on a napkin. But you guys, and I think for everybody out there watching and listening, and something you guys need to make a note of, okay? There's a lot of technology companies in our space, and boys, there are a lot of new ones out there. That doesn't mean they know automotive, right? And you guys have had the experience and the time to know automotive, but not just domestically here, but across the globe That is phenomenal. So let's do this. I want to get into digital retailing because that's going to be a big part of our today's conversation. So what are some of the biggest breakdowns maybe dealers are experiencing today in digital retailing? I'm going to start there.
Yeah, I think the biggest breakdown is not so much the technology itself, it's the fragmentation of these systems. Mm-hmm. And, dealers are not losing sleep because of their software. They're losing sleep because margins are under pressure, customers are skeptical, loyalty is harder to earn. And technology only becomes a problem when it gets in the way of making money and keeping customers. So the fragmentation is quietly eroding profit, customer satisfaction, and retention. And, so what does this look like? When you go in to buy a car, you probably do research online first, and you have some expectations from what you saw online. Or even worse, you didn't see anything online and you have no idea what you're coming.
You have no idea what you're getting into. You're just going into it totally blind. Sorry, anyways, go ahead.
Exactly. But, these days it's more of a hygiene factor to have something online, like, give me a sense of my payments or let me fill out a credit app. That's kind of the bare minimum we see. It's a real problem if you don't have anything. And, if you don't, then that needs to change. But for those that do, they have customers will have some expectations, and then they're not honored in store, and it's like they're starting over. And and that is, that's a true erosion of trust. And look, you're in there, you have intent, you'll likely get into a vehicle, right? But
maybe, let's say this real quick, right? Because I just recently had this experience. Actually, me and you were just recently talking about this, right? Yeah. I had to give a dealership. Because I'm in the industry, maybe I'm a little more empathetic. Okay. I literally had to walk out of a dealership and say, I'm going to come back in 2 days and I hope you guys have your crap together. Because I spent, probably like most consumers out there, hours and hours of shopping online, ultimately finding the truck I wanted and the features and the color and the trim and all that stuff. And I got some idea of kind of where this was the first time I was going to lease a car, by the way. I've always been a road warrior, so I've always financed or just bought a car, right? Because I put 5,000 plus miles a month on it, right? This is the first time I was going to lease it. So I kind of came in with some ideas, and I brought in some printouts, and they're like, oh, no, that's not even close to what it is. This is from your website. And talk about dude, if I was any other customer, you want to talk about the quickest way of blowing someone out the door, all right, is not have the transition from a digital experience to the physical experience just totally break apart on you. Anyways, I digress. For us, keep going because I'm sure you've seen this too.
This is exactly where most digital retail platforms break is a handoff, and omni-channel really is the magic word here. It's there needs to be synchronization between online and offline at all times in real time. Otherwise, the fragmentation just compresses profit. You're forcing late concessions when the payments change. You're reducing F&I penetration because your conversations are turning defensive.
Well, you lost the trust, right? There's no trust factor anymore. Sorry.
Exactly. You're slowing deal velocity, limiting how many transactions this work in process, inconsistencies in grosses on similar deals. And for the customer, your CSI scores are at risk. Fewer service returns, weak loyalty. Like I said, Jason, did you end up getting into a vehicle at that dealership?
You know what? I did. And I'll tell you the only reason I did is because they had the one vehicle within 500 miles of a radius. I would have, if this vehicle existed at any other dealership, I would have gone.
Yeah.
The other dealership. But it was just that one particular thing. But
when your lease is up, are you gonna go back there? That's the magic question, I think, because
No, I'm not. That's a very good point. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the magic question, I think, because when you're in there, likely you'll get in a vehicle. I don't want to beat around the bush. I've spent all this time, I've invested all this energy. I go in and I'm ready to get that car, but can you make the experience seamless and pleasant so that I come back, or my son or daughter, when they're ready, we come back to you, right? So. You've got to invest in long term and retention, and dealers know that. Retention for them is super important.
Well, okay, a couple things that we're talking about, and one of the things I just really want to harp on, all right, is the handoff. You heard us talk about it couple times kind of in the conversation, right? What I am so impressed with what NETSOL has put together is that it helps keep the transition from the online to the offline, all right, or the online to the in-person linear. And guys, this industry is not a linear process, all right? We have these mountains and valleys. We're going to make you do this, get you all excited, and then we're going to make you fill out a force. No, please don't do any Foursquares. And then we're going to make you do this, and we're going to then put you in an F&I office, and so on and so forth, right? Like, it needs to be a clean, linear experience. And guys, you have to acknowledge the fact that that customer that's in your dealership right now has spent hours and hours. Over 90% of the journey has already happened online. So for us, what I thought was interesting for me is that I came in way farther down. Like, I was like, I didn't come in with like, I have a couple questions. I'm pretty much coming in like, here's a piece of paper, my credit card. Can we go ahead and do this? And I'll tell you what the dealership did. Whoa, stop. I need to go back 6 steps and do all this other crap real quick. Anyways, I digress. But I'm sure you're seeing this as a breakdown as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Look, if this makes any sense, we've managed to make it appear like a linear experience by really being nonlinear and dynamic. So, the first pass of your deal and the vehicle, it's an educational part, like the F&I menu, that should be there to educate, not purely to sell. But what we've built is the ability to upsell very easily, to work numbers back and forth as many times, whether you're in store or online, sure, as many times as needed. We've built in rehashing. So even after credit approvals or credit, conditionals, the deal again. And, maybe you get a chance to upsell. By then you can personalize that experience. So Jason lives in a city with potholes and has purchased some tire and wheel packages before. So and they look and Jason looked at this part of the menu for, he clicked on the brochure, he looked at the video for a few seconds. He didn't pull the trigger, but now you have all this insight and you've given the education. Now you position it rather than defend it. So this has been really important to our dealer partners. And this is where we come from is, the finance background. We understand what happens when the transaction, the initial transaction has taken place. We come from that angle. So our vision for digital retail is not just a super lead generator. It's that at the bare minimum, but it's really facilitating a transactable, seamless experience, whether you're online or in store. And that's a really important point, is that we're not saying this only works if you do everything online. Yes, it does work if you do it online. We're there for those buyers, for that next generation buyers who are doing the Tesla style purchasing. But we're there for those buyers, which is most of the buyers that want to test drive the vehicle, that need to get their trade-in appraised, that need to work with the dealer needs to work with them. So, we're doing all of that at all angles.
Well, I think a platform like this creates transparency, it creates trust. And here's the cool thing. It does, like, to your point, right? Like, I was a customer that was damn near at Tesla level, right? Like, I'm just pretty much like, here's my printout, here's my card. Can we go? But here's the cool thing. The way you guys have built this out is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone gets to level 2 or level 9 or whatever the hell you want to call it, right? It is like, but it's keeping a consistent, transparent experience, right? And this was perfect because it kind of answered my next question, which was going to be around, like, how does this improve speed, compliance, customer experience? And I think we actually already answered this in a really good way, guys. Like, look, here's the thing. For everybody out there watching and listening right now, this is not a good idea, okay? This is a mandate. All right. And I think what you have to look at is you have to look at a company like NETSOL that is so focused on the experience from end to end. They bookshelf the entire experience from the moment the person is wanting to shop to the moment that they're ready to check out and finance this thing. Right. That's the type of partner. That's the type of solution you need to have. But I just want to kind of get into this because I know you got some thoughts. The technology is only as good as the people and the process that we put behind it. And I'm sure you've seen some great examples of this, or maybe something you can share.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mean, a good kind of story on compliance. Like I said, we had to build this as a transactable system. Mm-hmm. So you got to have some fraud prevention layers and identity verification. And we had to find the right partners to bring those kind of components. So we were implementing for a very well-known dealer group, Penske, for one of their brands. And they had very stringent, compliance processes that, hey, we cannot take this without running our own credit and fraud checks. We proved to them that it's all, available and they can replace their process with ours for this brand because we have a full seamless fraud prevention check that happens when the customer submits for credit and an ID verification. Two great partners we work with, and I'll name drop MyTech and SoCure.
Great guys.
Then the beauty is that it allows it to be in one UI, one experience. So Penske took a look at it. They did some, took some time and ultimately decided, yes, let's do this. We're good with it. So we passed their compliance process to implement using our, compliance capability. And we've been detecting fraud checks ever since. I mean, there's been a few bad actors that have come in, some guy who's credit applications and, so we've blocked some fraudulent activity through it. And, that's just kind of validation, right? A large dealer group who obviously has processes, public company, and we managed to cater to that.
Well, and I think that's key. I mean, look, when we're able to bring in compliance and then kind of add in the speed of a linear process, that customer experience is wildly enhanced, right? And speaking of compliance, and I do appreciate the way you guys do this because, the customer can get verified very, very early on in the process, which I think is incredibly important. And if anybody's ever watched my podcast, you guys all know when I was very young and very early in the business, that I got a vehicle stolen from me at gunpoint on a test drive. And for all intents and purposes, it would have been a totally normal looking individual with a good story behind it and everything. It was very well planned, but the unfortunate part is that, we don't have the technology in the process. Not everybody has that. And, too often I think, we think of not just the customer experience, but we also got to think about the user experience. So if you wouldn't mind, I want to go a little bit into kind of because this is a great customer experience, but there's so much analytics and data that this system is recording that sets up this great experience for the F&I manager, which an F&I manager never would have had. This kind of shopping or behavioral data. Can we dive a little bit into that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. We are tracking the customer's journey, even when they're unauthenticated. Mm-hmm. They haven't signed up, identified themselves, which, by the way, we've made that a flexible thing based on our clients.
That's awesome.
Lead gate up front before payments or lead gate after. Both are, an option. And I love the fact that most of the dealer partners want to put the lead gate later and let the shoppers see numbers, without giving personal info. But regardless, we're tracking the journey, whether they're unauthenticated or not. And we're looking at, how much time did they spend on this screen? Did they click on this F&I menu? You're kind of alluding to what I was mentioning earlier. Did they look at the brochures? Did they actually plug in? Did they add the products, but maybe remove it? And then based on what systems our partners are using and what those system providers are opening up to us, we can look at past purchase history, service, credit, of course, and just kind of develop this profile of a customer to personalize the experience. There's a fine line between personalization and stalking, I would say. So we're just trying to personalize and educate the customer while educating the F&I manager on, what are the right conversations to have with the customer, when you have them in the office, based on their situation and environment. And that is going to often lead to a productive and profitable engagement.
Well, and that's why I love what you guys have put together here. This is not just a tool. It is a complete solution. All right, guys, I was an F&I manager. Do you know what some of the conversations was like when a deal came into my office? Yeah. Hey, Billy, tell me a little bit about this customer. They like blue. Anything else?
How about orange?
They work. Oh, okay. That sounds great. Sorry, what were you saying?
I said, too bad they didn't like orange.
Too bad they didn't like orange, right? But I'm serious, man. I got horrible data from my salespeople or even my sales managers. I mean, so as an F&I manager, I'm coming into this thing blind, right? And trying to use every, just warm, inviting, personality to try to connect with these individuals so quickly. I would have died for this level of insights of being able to say, hey, look, they looked at this, they were thinking about that. I mean, oh man, I could, within 2 minutes, I can personalize exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to present it. And that wildly changed the game. But guys, this is what I'm talking about. For everybody out there watching and listening right now, this is what a bookshelf end-to-end solution is. It's not a tool, it's a complete solution. Hey, I want to get into some real-world impact because we got a chance, me and you talked about a little bit about this before we started recording, right? Real-world impact and ROI dealers see when that finance process are unified, like when kind of the retailing side and the finance side is unified. That's some beautiful things happen. I'm sure you got some great examples.
Yeah, when processes are unified, retail and finance, the ROI shows up in predictability, not just growth. So dealers see higher close rates to consistent expectations, improved F&I penetration because there's better informed conversations, faster deal cycles, stronger CSI. The intelligence, often, it was kind of a waiting game and very linear where finance and credibility really was almost an after. It's very late in the process, but the intelligence is coming in much earlier. And, the system we're building is really designed to, we don't think in terms of front end and back end. We think in terms of
Thank you for doing that, by the way. No, look, I think it's so important that we don't look at it just from a front end and back end. In fact, actually, you know what? Some of the best operators I've ever had the opportunity to interview, they don't look at it that way. They look at it holistically, right? And I hate to say it, and for everybody out there watching and listening, you guys know, all right, that you may have a pay structure that's kind of dedicated to this up here and back there, and it's just almost a constant fight, right? And it's, anyways, I digress, but any other kind of real world examples? I mean, I've seen this play out. Actually, I got a dealer group. What I thought was really cool about this is, especially on the group level, is look, it's not uncommon a dealership might go check out a Chevy and maybe go look at a Ford, right? Hey, we're not gonna say, or look at a Honda and maybe take a look at a Hyundai, right? It happens, right? I know from a group level, the data's stored. I can see what's going on at some of these other locations. Can you talk a little bit about that? What we've done is,
in our system, this might not be a real world example, but we have group user access where they can see all the deals in the pipeline at the group level, like regional or a group level, even a universal level for the OEM. So the customer could have a profile in the system that the system could pick up. And it really depends on what their CRM is telling them, what they see, in terms of the rest of the landscape that the customer is working in. So I'm just giving you thought.
Look, I'm looking at this like from a small group's perspective, man. If you have multiple locations inside your town, you definitely have to be looking at a solution like this to be able to know that, hey, they went to Honda and they shot for this, all right, and be able to see what their profile is, what they're looking at, and say, hey, that's cool. We appreciate you stopping at our Honda location. I know this is kind of what you were looking at. Here's kind of what we have. It's going to be similar to that. I'm telling you, look, for years, all right, I've had people ask me for years, hey, Jason, what's one of the best ways I can enhance my customer experience? I'm like, make the customer feel known. Yeah. Once you're able to make them feel known, you're like, hey, you visited our other location. That's amazing. Let me pull up the information real quick, right? Like, oh, wow, I don't have to repeat all the same crap. Oh, you were looking at this vehicle with that trim. Oh, so our trim levels are a little different. Here's what we have. I think that's one of probably the most impactful things for any group out there. Would you say the same?
Yeah, for sure. The flexibility is definitely there for and the CRM is also giving a lot of this data. And so how we've built the system is there's a whole ecosystem that we're working within, but
Yes.
we're trying to push those ecosystem partners to get more data out of them. And they are playing ball. So, we're because that ultimately is how we can show sort of a profile to any dealer, give them the historical view and set the context. So absolutely, the system is designed to present profiling and data on the customer that the dealer can use and educate themselves and have the right conversations with the customer.
Look, it ultimately just makes a better experience, right? Like I feel known, I feel connected. I feel like, okay, yes, you do know that I was talking about this, or maybe I purchased this the last time I was at the dealership. I mean, I would love, for someone, I hate having to go through the whole conversation all over again. Yeah, I drive this many miles. I do this many stuff. I want that warranty. I need this insurance. It's like, I just want to be able to say to someone, hey, you want the same thing you got last time? Yes, sir. Thank you.
I love that. I mean, I love this, the same thing. My lease is up in August. And I'm waiting for the moment. I know it's going to come where they're going to reach out to me and say, "Hey, we'll cover your last 3 months. Here's the new, the new version of this vehicle." I like that's why having the right experience from the beginning for a first-time customer. Ensuring the synchronization that the customer didn't have a bad first showroom visit.
Exactly.
In the path for the future. If you make the first time easy, especially if you're leasing, 2-3 years, you want to see that customer back in 3 years, right? So that's why it all starts online. Whether you are purchasing in-store or not, you are 99.9% of the time researching online first. So having the right approach right from the beginning is setting you up for years of purchases from one customer.
Well, look, you're setting up your team for success. For everybody out there watching, listening right now, that's the way you got to be looking at this. Okay. It's not just a tool, right? It's a piece of technology that is wrapped around your process. And then we've mentioned a little bit, but this is truly, guys, is your process. They don't come in with a preset defined thing. It works around your process. And it supports and empowers your team, right, just to be able to execute a higher level of experience. Like, I know we're getting toward the tail end, but I do have one more question with you because I wanted to get into this because we talked a little bit about this earlier too, right? Just where auto retail technology is headed. I'm excited. Look, I'm excited where it is right now. I think it's cool, but I know that there is still new things coming. What should dealers be preparing for, I guess is my question.
So, AI is the big buzzword. I see it, in the last couple of years being at NADA and Digital Dealer, we've seen a lot of great tech companies come out focused on AI conversational lead enhancement capabilities. So, of course, we are extremely focused on AI. Everything from, like I mentioned, personalized experiences, upselling insights, advanced analytics for sales and F&I, better, education and tutorial content for end consumers and so on. But very quickly, what you're going to see is agentic AI. So not just chatbots and smart chatbots, but agents that are autonomous and working behind the scenes. As if they're an employee. And really, we see it as a way to augment the sales and finance force rather than replace. There's always a human in the loop. But we're going to see things move from right now, which is super exciting, lead automation to deal automation. So imagine an assistant that can help interview the customer to position for upselling, but also within a preset margin, help with some of the, the pencils, right? 100%. And negotiations, coordinate lender approvals, help with delivery scheduling. And, keyword is help. So that's, very quickly happening. OpenAI has already released their agentic commerce APIs as well. So things are moving super fast. We also think as a company, the form factor of how you experience the web is going to change fairly soon.
Or conversational. Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, but like the device form factor, we've got our smartphones, but soon we will have glasses and goggles. Meta is trying to bring this into the mainstream. So how you experience the web will fundamentally change. Maybe not tomorrow, but fairly soon. And you mix that with the agentic AI, then we're bound for a major shift. So the way you experience commerce and retail will also change. So imagine like a virtual test drive. Imagine having a conversation in the F&I office from my glasses. So that we see that also. The industry is bound for a shift in the way we use vehicles, and there's so many companies who have tried and haven't been successful. And what I mean by that is more short-term models like subscription, for example, month-to-month obligations, or even shorter daily, right? Rentals, of course, rentals are there, but in terms of ownership, we'll see that changing, especially autonomous vehicles and how that's changing transportation. I mean, there's all these Waymos all over Austin and LA, and they're causing some issues, but you're starting to see the shift in the shift in mobility and the shift in commerce. So the way we sell is gonna be going through transformation, and at the end of the day, especially in America, the dealers are core to the infrastructure of auto retail. So the role of the dealership will only evolve along with the industry.
I am so with you on this, and I think what I'm really excited for is for the dealers out there watching, listening, is more consistent and dependable margins and revenue. I think as an industry, and I know everybody out there watching and listening right now, I know you've had this because everybody has. All right, you had this amazing month. You just knocked it out of the park. I mean, everything, the F&I, just everything was not. Next month comes. You have no idea what the hell just happened. There's nowhere close to it, right? And see, this is why I'm so excited when people start talking about agentic AI. Look, I owned 2 dealerships myself. Okay, I actually did the stats one time. By the way, did you know that when I actually sat in the chair and I was in the dealership, all right, we closed 25% more deals.
Wow.
Well, because the pencils came through me, right? And so there's the decision-making aspect of it. Like I just don't think the average manager has all of the data in front of them to ultimately make the most impactful decision on should they be taking a deal and then modify a deal and so forth. Like I am so jacked, all right, to see how all these data points are ultimately going to connect to each other in the form of a full agentic solution that's going to look at just not the customer but the full lifespan of the customer. Because as a business owner, that's what I care about. Yes, I want to sell them a car, and I want to do it right there, right? But I also want to service the crap out of this thing for like the next 5 to 7 years, right? Anyways, I digress. This has been a really, really fun conversation. And I think we could do a whole podcast actually just on that.
We should.
We should. That'd be good. That'd be fun. Hey, for people out there watching and listening right now, you may be watching this before NADA. It's literally coming up. You might be watching it afterwards as well, right? But for the people that are watching before NADA, you guys got to come by the booth. All right. You got to come. NETSOL, they'll be there. It's 7213. All right. You guys got to come by the booth. Check it out. I'm going to be hanging out as well. So you come by, you say hi, and you guys got to look at this. This is not just another tool. It is, like I said, a bookshelf end-to-end complete solution with a partner that actually cares and knows about your business. I know, Faraaz, that we haven't finished all the conversation today. There's probably a lot that still needs to be had. For everybody out there watching and listening right now who would love to maybe connect with you and continue maybe some parts of this conversation, what's the best way to do so?
My channels are open. Come find me at NADA. Please add me on LinkedIn. Let's start a discussion. My email as well. I think we can send that to you, faraz.ghauri@netsoltech.com. But we'd love to, especially talk to you at NADA and show you the platform. We're going bigger than we ever have. Got a bigger booth. We've got multiple demo stations. We have Jason. Just look for the orange. We've got some great giveaways, even for just taking a demo. We'll give you a very nice gift for that if you give us your time, even if it's 5 minutes. So we'd love to talk to you. Again, last thing I want to say is, for us, it isn't just about retail and finance. It's mobility, how vehicles are changing, the way mobility and transportation is changing. It's fundamentally going to change how we purchase and use vehicles, and that is our vision and what we're gearing you for. But in the meantime, we have a way for you to transact with all kinds of buyers of any types and keep the customer experience premium and make you more profit through this. So please, come join us. We'd love to talk. And thank you so much, Jason, for the time.
This has been an absolute blast. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, guys, I'm serious, all right? If you need to improve the speed, compliance, and customer experience, all with the intent of seeing reliable and dependable, consistent revenue, you need to be taking a look at NETSOL. Look, for everybody out there, the biggest compliment that you can give us as content creators is to share the show. Okay, look, I know you may not hit the subscribe button or you may not make a comment, okay, but it means the world to us if you share the show. If you got to have a colleague or a manager or a friend that needs to see some portion of today's conversation, it means the world to us when you guys share the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today, Faraaz. This has been a blast for everybody out there. We'll see you guys at NADA. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.